our commission meeting for Monday, November 21st, 2022. Meetings are broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, ATT Uverse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's webpage at glendaleca.gov/live, on YouTube at youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called ScreenWeave and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city's website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. Please call 818-548-4013 for program schedules. DVDs of the proceedings are available for purchase in the city clerk's office. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. Public comments on a specific agenda item will be taken when the agenda item is discussed. If you have comments on a specific agenda item, it will be taken when the agenda item is discussed. If you have any questions about matters on the agenda or requests for assistance, please contact the Community Services and Parks Administration Office at 818-548-2000 during regular business hours. Thank you.
I'll proceed with the roll call. Commissioners Alcazar,
I'm here.
Afayan,
Here.
Meek,
Here.
Wolfson. Here. And President Sardar Begin.
Here.
The agenda for the November 21st, 2022 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before November 18, 2022. Item 2, upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you, President Sardar Begin, members of the commission. We have one item coming up next month on December 13th. We have a motion authorizing the city manager or designee to enter into and execute a professional services agreement with Maroon Society Incorporated in the amount of not to exceed $119,575 to provide a senior needs assessment services for the Community Services and Parks Senior Services section.
Thank you.
Next is item 3, commission staff comments.
May I?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
went to the Fall Festival. It was well attended, and I had a good time. Thank you very much for putting it on.
Thank you. I did have a comment as well, and this is because I actually missed the last meeting, unfortunately, and it had some exciting items, including the capital improvement programs summary, which was presented by Mr. Panosian, who is not here, but I did just want to make this comment and question in a public forum. So it was exciting to see that we had a lot lined up for next year. I didn't hear any mention of public art as part of Mr. Panosian's presentation. So I do want to ask at what point library arts and culture is brought into the conversation to consider where public art might be involved in some of our projects, when a consultant could be approached, or when an RFP for a consultant for public art could be incorporated into the plans. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. President Sardar Begin, members of the commission, as part of the master planning process, we'll incorporate an art component similar to what we did with Fremont. So back in Fremont, when we were master planning for the Fremont renovation project, we asked the consultant to give us a few areas as part of the project to have public art. And our consultant designed, I believe, 2 or 3 areas for public art. But as we move along with a master planning process, then we'll go ahead and incorporate art. We are working with the Arts and Culture Commission on a couple art projects, one being Verdugo for the mural that the commission approved a couple meetings ago. And we are currently also looking at a couple of our basketball courts to paint the basketball courts and have murals, I believe, at a few courts. But we're working with the consultant as well as the Library Arts and Culture Commission. But to answer your question, it's part of the master planning process. So when we receive input and feedback from the community, we'll go ahead and incorporate art, the art component as well.
Gotcha, thank you for that explanation. So that would mean the Fremont Master Plan, the Central Park Master Plan, as well as the Verdugo Park Master Plan has components of public art already, potentially?
The Central Park one does have some art.
Okay.
Fremont has art. The Fremont Park, as Mr. Panoso mentioned last meeting, we are out to bid. Bids will hopefully close January 11th. And for the Verdugo Park one, as part of the North End renovation project, we don't have any art incorporated, but we do have the art installation at the skate park as well as the south end of the restrooms, where we're going to have the mural in the next, I believe, 6 months. I believe May 2023.
Okay.
We'll have the mural completed there.
Okay. Would it be possible to consider, and I don't know if this needs to be a motion or not, for a report back from the Parks Department as well as the Library Arts and Culture Department to essentially review the list of projects that were presented? And I know this, might not be feasible for the projects that are already under construction, but definitely for the permit-ready projects that might not have a master plan involved, such as, the Pacific Park shade water features, the dog park. I know it's a little early, but I would love to see the public art component incorporated a little earlier in a phase for some of these, especially those that don't have a master plan. I think, a shaded structure or a water play feature can definitely be a public art piece, and I think it would be a really fun way to include public art into our park spaces, which I know from the public art master plan, the parks, right, were a very low-hanging fruit opportunity to incorporate more public art into our spaces. So would that be possible to get that report back in the next year sometime for our
Yes, we
projects?
can, we'll work with our friends over at Library Arts and Culture and come up with a plan to
Okay.
incorporate art in our parks moving forward.
For projects, awesome. Thank you.
I believe that's part of the public art master plan that the consultant worked on, is working with the Parks Department, hence the reason why we added Fremont in a number of our other parks. But when we master plan newer parks, like the dog park,
Yeah.
we're looking at Lot 15, we're also looking at the Shoal Canyon landfill, post-closure. If that's going to be a recreational element, recreation area, we will look at that area too for a public art component.
So, thank you.
May I?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the dog park, are you still considering Palmer Park?
We're gonna work on an RFP. The RFPs hopefully will be issued within this week or next week. We're looking at 3 locations, one being Lot 11, one being the Palmer Park Community Garden, and another one being the Garfield campus. There's a park or a green space, open space area at Garfield. We're working with Glendale Community College to incorporate a small mini park and a dog park as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments? Next item?
Next is item 4, oral communications. We don't have any cards or callers. Item 5, consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on September 19, 2022.
I'll move to approve those minutes from September 2022.
I'll second.
Commissioners Alcazar,
Yes.
Alfayan,
I was absent.
Meek,
Approve?
Wolfson,
Yes.
and President Sardarbagian.
Yes.
Item 5B, approval of the minutes of the commission's special meeting held on October 17, 2022.
I will move it.
And I'll second.
Commissioners Alcazar,
I was absent.
Alfayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes?
Wolfson,
I was absent.
and President Sardarbagian.
Yes.
Item 6, action items at A, selection of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission officers. At 1, a selection of president for the term November 2022 to November 2023. And at 2, a selection of secretary for the term November 2022 to November 2023.
So,
I have a recommendation for Commissioner Mix for president and Commissioner Alcazar for press secretary.
And do we have any other nominations?
Do you want- I was just going to ask, Commissioner Alcazar, do you want to be president? Would you serve if nominated?
I'm honored by your proposal, but, you know, I do understand that there is a general agreement with the process of who should be president, and I would love for you to see you sit in that seat since you are a little more tenured than I am.
Because I was going to nominate you. That
I
would be
can follow
fine.
shortly, you know.
Okay. Just to double check, are there any other nominations for the office of president or secretary?
No.
Should I take them separate or together? I think I'll
Together.
just take them together
Together.
since it seems it might be unanimous. Okay, so I have a nomination for Commissioner Meek for the office of president and Commissioner Alcazar for the office of secretary. Commissioner Alcazar,
Yes.
Afayan,
Yes.
I
Meek,
vote for mine.
Yes.
Sardarbagian,
yes.
Wolfson. Yes. Okay, I now declare Commissioner Meek the president and Commissioner Alcazar as the new secretary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Should we- I was gonna say, should we?
I thought you got to serve it out. Switch water too.
Do we
Next
need a
item on the
speech?
agenda?
Okay, next item is 6B, rescheduling of the January and February 2023 Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission regular meeting. At 1 is a motion directing staff regarding the rescheduling of the January and February 2023 commission regular meetings.
I have a recommendation. This is for January and February?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. If we, since you're having your suggesting to have the meetings late than 3 weeks in the month, let's have one meeting in January and skip the February, so that way you can catch up in March for the third week of the week. That's my suggestion.
I second that.
Okay, so that was a formal motion, Commissioner Kalfayan?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll go ahead and take roll call. So again, the motion is to reschedule the January meeting to Monday, January 23rd, and to cancel the February 2023 meeting. Commissioner Alcazar?
I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question? Can I ask staff if you anticipate any big items that we need to vote on in January or February, that we just need 2 meetings?
President Meek, members of the commission, as of now, no big items. I know we're bringing an item back to commission in December, so we would like to have the December meeting. That's our Emerald Isle Playground. And for January, February, as of yet, we don't have any big items, but I'm sure something will come up in terms of different projects or approving any program priorities.
If the bids for Fremont Park are closed, will that be coming up?
No, that's, Public Works will be handling those. When the bids are up, Public Works will take a report to council approving the contract and securing additional funds. And hopefully the project will start by June, end of June, early July.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll proceed with roll call. Commissioners Alcazar,
Yes.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Sardarbagian,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
and President Meek.
Yes.
Item 6C, update on community gardens in Glendale. At 1 is a motion directing staff on establishing procedures to assign garden plots at the Verdugo Park Community Garden.
Good afternoon, President Meek and members of Commission. My name is Armen Tagakcan. I'm the Park Operations Supervisor, mainly work on weekends and holidays. So probably you'll see me during the weekends and holidays in any park in Glendale. But at the same time, today I am here to present the updates about the community gardens. I was here 3 years ago, 11 months, 2 years ago. So 2019, October 21st, I was here presenting the community gardens and requesting Commission's approval for the new rules and regulations. So today I will go ahead and present the updates. If you look at the map, basically we have 3 community gardens that Community Services and Parks Department manages. One is over at Verdugo, Maryland, Mini Avenue Park, and Palmer Community Garden inside Palmer Park. Verdugo Community Garden is inside Verdugo Park. You can see the north side is Verdugo, and on the south side are Maryland and Palmer. So basically this is a breakdown of the sizes of 3 community gardens and just a recap. So before, Verdugo was kind of divided into uneven plots, 32 plots, and Parks Department kind of did a renovation and turned it into 50 plots. And they are all equally divided, 4 by 8 square feet. So he provided us with the opportunity to give extra plots to, let's say, 18 people. They got extra community gardens from Verdugo Community Garden. And Palmer, the same thing, 36 uneven and small plots. They were renovated and turned into 50 plots, so that makes 14 extra plots. And Maryland Community Garden, there was no change because it was originally already set. And we have 12 community garden plots. If you look at the Maryland, basically the size, I pulled out the size. The size is 1,926 square feet. That's Maryland Community Garden, and it has 12 evenly distributed plots. This is, you can look at the picture, and this is the plot. This is the community garden without the soil. Presently, there is a soil inside already, and there is a kind of fenced around the area, so it'll be kind of secure. So Maryland Community Garden. So what we did when I came 3 years ago, we followed Commission's direction and we sent postcards. The postcards are like this. You can see sample I brought. So we sent us postcards to 1.8-mile radius families. That's 170 families because it's 1 plot per family. If they're interested, they should have kind of get hold of me and report to a meeting and present their interest in the community garden. Based on the grant that was put together for Maryland Avenue Mini Park to be built, it was just a neighboring neighborhood to benefit from the park itself. That's why it was sent out to only the neighbors living around the park. So Basically, I requested whoever is interested to report to the meeting, and only 9 individuals reported out of 12. Remember, 3 extra community gardens end up staying empty, so today I'm here to see and to seek your direction, Commission's direction. If you guys have any suggestions, how should I proceed? We are basically suggesting we keep the link open. If people see there is a work being done inside the community gardens, and the neighbors who see the work, they get excited and interested and apply for the plot. Basically, we have a QR code posted over there, and QR code, quick read code, takes them directly to the link where they can go ahead and sign up and present their interest. We have an interest list from there getting collected. Or what I can do, I have a community garden wait list. It's close to 10 years. If you guys suggest, I can go ahead and start using the 10-year wait list for those extra 3 individuals, 3 families, I will say, because it's 1 plot per family, as a reminder. Next one is a Palmer Community Garden. Palmer Community Garden is at Palmer Park. If you look at the map, it's on the west side of the park. All the way on the right-hand side is a Palmer Community Garden. This is just a picture how it was being built and how it got renovated and how it looks now. Right now it looks like this. So let's go back. You can see the size, 4x8 plots with the soil. People are already working over there, and they're already planting and growing the vegetation and flowers. There's no trees allowed inside. Everything is being specified in the rules and regulations that people fill out the paperwork and sign the paperwork when they become a plot owner. So prior to 2016-17, there were only 36 unevenly distributed plots, and presently there is 50 plots. So what I did, I held a meeting in September 2022 this year, and only 45 people showed up to the meeting. The other 5 people, they're still missing. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a time till end of the month, November, for others to respond. Then I can use the wait list. As you already heard, I have a wait list close to 10 years. People are just presenting their interest. I cannot guarantee that people 10 years ago are still interested, but I can go ahead and try. Now Verdugo Community Garden. Verdugo Community Garden inside Verdugo Park, you can see it's 1621 Cañada Boulevard. It's right behind our maintenance building. As you can see in the map, it's 15,520 square feet. And just recap information, basically prior to 2020, we had 32 unevenly distributed gardens. And if you remember, it was kind of not too safe the way it was in 2020. So with our parks management, we turned it into safely evenly distributed 50 plots. And 6 individuals that were actively working back in days, they got promised that they will get a new plot after the renovation. So presently, just remember, 6 people will come back. I still have 44 plots to distribute. So questions? I can give you the options for commission to choose from, or they can use their own suggestion. I can go ahead and send a mail to residents 1 8-mile radius, similar to Maryland. Just remember that Maryland is mainly in the community that's kind of like living inside apartments, so they don't have any growing area, any planting, any gardening area. But Verdugo Park itself, if I stick to 1 8-mile radius, or majority of the residents living in the north side of Verdugo Park, they have a land to kind of plant their vegetation. So that's an option. Second one, open the interest link to anyone in Glendale. Because remember, Maryland, we specified only people living in a 1 8-mile radius because of the grant that was specified to benefit only the neighbors in that area. But Verdugo Park, I can just open it for the whole city. And the third consideration will be proceed with appointing individuals from the wait list. That's going back to my 10-year-old wait list. And last but not the final will be any options that is not presented by staff or combination of options. If the commission can help me out, I'll highly appreciate it. That concludes my presentation, and thank you, President Mick and members of the commission. I'm open to any questions.
I do. Hi, thank you so much, Armin. It's nice to see you. I had a couple of questions. You mentioned the wait list is like 10 years old, but have you had any contacts from those people, or do we know anything about the status of those people that are on the waiting list?
President Mick, members of the commission, basically what's happening, people who are still interested, they have my contact information, they still call me and present their interest. And I always ask them, I say, continue calling and presenting your interest so I know at least I have those individuals that are still interested, because I cannot guarantee that someone, whoever signed up 10 years ago is still interested. But I have a handful of people who are still calling me and telling me, basically keeping me up to date and letting me know that they're still interested.
I can ask my questions, thank you. So just to clarify, because we have the 3 community gardens, I believe in the agenda, our options here for consideration or proposal was specifically for the Verdugo Park community gardens, but it sounds like you're open to advice on all of them, is that right? Our process for eligibility and prioritization for all of them?
For Maryland, I'm thinking if I keep it open and people start working at Maryland Avenue Mini Park, Community Gardens, others who are interested are gonna present their interest and right away sign up. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep the link QR code poster that's over there presently posted. I'm gonna continue keeping it till end of November. Basically, that one I can't even advance it. I'm thinking to give some time for Verdugo Community Garden, for Palmer Community Garden. So sorry, Palmer Community Garden to show the interest those 5 people that didn't show up, and for Verdugo one completely from scratch with your recommendation, basically.
Okay, understood. How many people are on the wait list? And it sounds like, from what your answer to Commissioner Wolfson, the wait list was originally designed for the Palmer Parks Community Gardens, right?
Verdugo being itself the oldest one, I remember starting from Verdugo, I have over 198 individuals that are interested.
Okay, understood. So it sounds like we are expanding our options for community gardens as well, right? We have more plots. Potentially we could renew that wait list, reach out to every single person on there, have them decide what parks they would be interested in, and kind of refresh that list as an option. Throwing that out there as a potential option. And then I do think that it's important to keep the gardens a priority for people who live nearby, since it is, that's the point of a community garden, right? But I would also propose expanding what we're determining as near, right, as a eligibility option to a half mile rather than just an eighth. I was just looking at the Maryland Park map, and it looks like a half mile. So the Maryland Park is in between Brand and Glendale, it looks like. And an eighth of a mile is just kind of up until those streets, right? So it's just around that block, which is pretty small circumference. Yeah. So I would consider doing a half mile, because that's the rule of thumb of someone being comfortable with walking to any location is usually a half mile. Any further than that, then people are usually not wanting to walk to that location. But I'd say, a half mile out, I think people would still be interested in even walking to that garden space.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm going to jump in again and ask another question. So can we make a recommendation? I think you said that the Maryland one, there's a grant that, is it the Maryland one that there's a grant that says that it has to be for the people that are really close by? Is that right?
All right,
Yes.
not
Okay.
community garden specifically, but the park. My director will explain.
President Meek, members of the commission, the state grant, when we filled out the application, we said that the park and the community garden itself would be open to the community, the residents in the area. Hence the reason why we went ahead and opened it up 1/8 of a mile. We can try to send out flyers again, or open it up per Commissioner Alcazar's request to half a mile. Similar to Palmer Park, we can go off the wait list. I know the wait list is a long one. We can go off the wait list and see if they want, we can fill the 5 additional plots that we have at Palmer. And then if they're interested in plots, move them also over to Verdugo. And then if we have any plots available at Verdugo after the wait list is exhausted, then we can open it up to the community.
What I was kind of thinking is that we sort of need 3 different strategies. We have the Maryland is restricted to the vicinity, because of the grant, and that's appropriate. And I think with Palmer, I think you only have 5 plots maybe that are available. Is that right?
All right, the other 50 people who were planting over there before, when I had the meeting in September, only 45 showed up.
Right. So
So
you
I
only,
have
but still,
5.
out of all the plots that are available there, you only have a few that are. So what I was kind of thinking is, keep your, your search fairly local for those parks and those community gardens, because first of all, number one, they're in more densely populated areas. There's a greater need for the gardens in those areas, and maybe widen it a great deal more for Verdugo, especially because there are so many plots available at Verdugo at the moment. I mean, there are a number of apartment buildings on Kenyatta Boulevard. So there's potentially people that would be interested. They're fairly close by. But at the same time, I think you're probably going to, if you widen the search, widen your net for the butterflies there, you're going to get the interest and maybe meet a need that's more intense for these plots. What is
Awesome, thank you.
President-
I was going to, I guess, recommend just widening the radius to the 1/4 of a mile, or even half a mile from the parks on all 3, and then utilize whatever wait list you have. I think the important thing is to get these plots used up as soon as possible instead of just letting dirt sit there. So I think, you know, I'm comfortable enough with just kind of allowing you to use your judgment so long as it's kind of within some of the parameters of what's already in place. So just maybe, again, widening the radius and along with that, using some of the people from the wait list.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
I visited all three of them, but I didn't see you. You told me you're there all the time. But my suggestion is, like, the two small ones, the Maryland and Palmer, should be to same neighborhood, because those neighborhoods, they really need the parks. They really need something to get out of their apartments to change themselves, you know, from those rooms. But Verdugo has a lot of them, and Verdugo is surrounded, but everybody owns their houses around there. Apartments are not that close. And my suggestion will be is, with the waiting list, use it to send them to Verdugo if you can.
Definitely, I'll
Use the waiting list. They've been waiting for so long, so try to get them in.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Will
So,
do.
President Meek, members of the commission, just to gather all the information, so what we'll do is, we'll go ahead and expand the radius to a quarter mile or half a mile to both Palmer and Maryland. For Palmer, there's 5 plots available. We'll go ahead and off the wait list. We fill those 5 plots, and then anyone else on that wait list, we'll move them over to Verdugo. And then once when the waiting list is exhausted, if we have any more plots available, then we will open Verdugo up half a mile radius from the park, or a quarter mile.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I believe that's good. We want to check, that's a way to check that waiting list to make sure it does get updated by going through it and seeing if these people are still interested.
This is once the waiting list is exhausted. Commissioner Wolfson? Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe widen the search for Verdugo even more than that.
That's fine. We can widen it 1 mile?
Yeah, or
Okay.
more even.
Okay.
Citywide, maybe even.
So
Because
our goal-
I hate to see them lie fallow, and there may be people who want that.
So our goal is to exhaust the list first.
Yep.
And then we'll open it up to the public, 1 mile or 2 mile radius over Verdugo. And then for Maryland and Palmer, we'll go ahead and open it up to the community in South Glendale.
One question for me, the QR code, is that, do we have those posted at Maryland or at Palmer?
Not yet. At Verdugo, I don't have it yet. So I was just waiting for your suggestion, but I can go ahead and get the same QR code for identical as the Maryland that's still over there posted, to post over at Verdugo if it's suggested, I guess.
Okay. Do we need a formal recommendation?
Yes.
Yes.
President Meek, members of the commission, just to clarify, Armin, the wait list that we have, you said is specific to Palmer, or it includes people who have shown interest citywide?
It's specifically for Maryland that we have over there, yeah, and it specifies the link when they go inside.
No, the wait list, sorry, the wait
the
list.
wait list is just for the whole, whoever from City of Glendale as a member. Because before I take the information, I make sure that they're City of Glendale resident. Otherwise, if I make it LA County, it could have been like over 1,000 maybe. So I
Right.
try to keep the wait list a little small for only Glendale residents to benefit.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the clarification. I just wanted to make sure the commission understood that it is a citywide wait list, not specific to any one park. So for Maryland, because it is specific to that area, if there's nobody interested within that area, I'm guessing we probably shouldn't go off the wait list and try to reach out to residents within that area first, which I think was what Armin was suggesting. And then I guess for Palmer and Verdugo, we could go off the wait list and then open it to whatever mile radius that you have a consensus on. So if one of you is going to suggest a motion language, if you could keep that in mind.
So let's keep these all three separate then, and I'd like a recommendation for the Maryland Community Garden.
I would like to move that for the Maryland Garden, you, you know, approach within the radius that's allowable by the grant, and use that as your way to fill those plots. Can we make one motion
What's the
for all
radius?
three?
What's the radius that you're recommending?
Well, I would, you know, open it up as wide as is permissible under the grant, you know, because you want to use the plots. So I think you said it was 1/8 mile that you used right now.
That's correct.
Is that the maximum allowable radius for the grant, or?
Just it specifies neighborhood, neighboring neighbors, I guess.
So maybe open that up to 1/4 mile, because that's just a couple blocks, really. And that's still the neighborhood.
So sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off. I did 1/4 mile at the beginning. I ended up having 800 families in the list because our ISD, Information Services Department, helped me to come up with the mailing letters, and the number turned into 800 families.
Well, I'm, you know, I still have to say, you know, we want to use the plots, right? So if you get a lot of people interested in that, you could then offer them the opportunity for the other locations.
Yeah, that makes,
Yeah, because if there's that much interest, you know, that's the whole thing, is like, it troubles me that there are people in that neighborhood that want a plot. There are plots available at Verdugo. Maybe it would be too far for some of them to go, but surely some of them would go to Verdugo and be happy to use it.
so if I may ask, you said when you initially did it at 1/4, so at 1/8 of a mile, how many families were there?
170.
Okay, so just based on the practicality of it and your experience, would you feel more comfortable in a number between 1/8 of a mile and 1/4 of a mile?
I honestly don't mind.
I mean, I think
The reason why we picked 1/8 of a mile, it was more manageable.
Okay,
We were hoping that all 12 plots would have been
Right, of
reserved. Now, if this is something that the commission wants us to look at, then we can expand it to 1/4 mile, and that'll, you know, include 800, did you say 870?
800, over 800
Over
families.
800, and then we'll have an active waiting list, combine it with the Palmer Park, and move them over to Verdugo. Once when the 3 plots at Maryland fill up, we'll go to Palmer, and then we'll go to Verdugo.
can I make a motion to expand the radius to 1/4 of a mile for both Maryland and Palmer, and then whatever's left over, funnel it over to Verdugo Park?
I
the waiting
second
list.
that motion.
And what's the mileage for the
1/4 of a mile.
Verdugo? How about?
Oh, Verdugo, there's a
open.
waiting list, so I think it should be like the big pool that everyone gets sent to.
So it's open for that? You're
So right
suggesting-
now, the motion is just for Maryland and Palmer, and we'll do separate for Verdugo.
No, we're gonna send the overflow. The motion
okay.
includes sending the overflow.
Correct.
In other words, people that want plots at Maryland and Palmer but can't get them because there's not as many available, hopefully, some of those people would be willing to take plots at Verdugo.
Okay.
Could we do them separately just for clarity? Is that okay?
No, let's just go ahead, do the one more time, and then we'll see.
My motion was for Maryland and Palmer to expand the radius of the mailers to be 1/4 of a mile from each park. And hopefully they'll fill it up if there's extras that are on the waiting list to offer them Verdugo. And as far as Verdugo is concerned, just go off of the waiting list, along with the flow over from the other
Let me
parks.
try to rewrite that.
I'm sorry, before you rewrite it, I have one question before. Will the commission be open to having a few plots available for the residents up in Verdugo that are interested in community gardens as well? Since we're not going to send out flyers, 1 mile radius, I'm sure there are residents that live in the multi-unit apartment complexes off of Cañada and Verdugo. So if we can, I don't know, give us an amount of plots that we should make available for Verdugo residents, I think that would work too, just so there's some opportunity for,
I hear what you're saying, and it's a very good point, but it raises a question. Have we not reached out at all to the Verdugo Park neighborhood?
Not yet.
not yet, no. We were waiting for this meeting.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so-
let me try, give me a chance here. All right, so here's my motion. I move that you expand the radius to 1/4 mile for Maryland and Palmer, reach out to them, and reach out to residents within 1/2 mile of Verdugo Park. And for those that want, because there's not very many plots available at the Maryland and Palmer, when you have excess interest, route them to Verdugo Park, assuming availability up there. And I'm pretty sure there will be availability up there. given
May,
Second that motion.
may I ask a go ahead, Commissioner Alcazar.
Can I also ask a clarification question? Because right now, it sounds like we're prioritizing the people who live around the community garden, which is fair, but again, I think maybe for Palmer, we already have this long waiting list that should be prioritized,
The waiting list is for all of Glendale.
right? But because there's limited number of plots as well at Palmer, just a thought.
Well,
Did you-
the point is that we are making a targeted, appeal for interest to people that are close, that live close by, because those are going to be the people that may be most interested in the plots at those particular locations. And then we want to make sure that the people that want plots, but there aren't enough that are close to where they live, that they're going to get a shot at the ones where there are more plots available. I think
And
that's the
by
point.
reaching out to Verdugo, are we giving them priority over the community gardens in Verdugo before the people?
Well, I think we want to give them some notice that there are plots available.
Yeah.
It sounds like we haven't done that.
Yeah.
So,
May I ask a clarifying question? Are there a certain number of plots we're saving at Verdugo for Verdugo area residents versus those that are off a wait list or that might come off of a larger search? I just advise you to keep that in mind. And also, if we do expand to 1/4 or 1/2 mile radius at Maryland, we might get a whole lot more interest. So that might then lead to everybody, all the people from that area taking precedence at the Verdugo Park area. So just, if you could also include that, if there's a certain number of plots you want to identify. And then long-term, if we're going to do this as a policy, I also advise us to maybe, if we're looking at it, to establish wait lists by park area, because it will be very difficult for us to identify going forward. Because I'm assuming there are possibly residents on the current wait list that might be in the Palmer area, or that might come from, closer to the Maryland area that we might want to look at and take into consideration. I don't want to complicate it, but if they have been waiting for a couple years, they might, be upset that they weren't given priority and that we expanded the search. So, Armin, I'm not sure if we've ever looked at it in the sense of how many people on our wait list are within the Palmer area or within the Maryland area or even within the Verdugo area. But we could also look at the current wait list and identify residents that might fall within the areas that you just identified, that 1/4 mile or 1/2 mile radius, and then open it up for a wider search.
I guess the question of the wait list is, just like sort of nebulous, like, I just can't, I don't know if these people are even still living in the, I can't tell if they're still as interested as they were whenever, because 10 years, right? You said it's 10 years old or something.
All right, and if you look back in 2019 when I came to get the approval of the commission, basically I changed the rule. I requested commission to approve rules and regulations term limit of 5 years only. So because some people were there for over 10 years, for example, and it wasn't fair for those people on the wait list. So it kind of dropped the number of people who were kind of holding the possibility of others to get the plot. So now, starting from 2022, when they signed a new agreement after 5 years, it will be only new individuals. No, yeah, and if no one applies to those plots, they can be on the wait list and they can be selected with a lottery system. So basically, long story short, it's kind of the term limit of 5 years was set up and came up to benefit those people that are waiting for over 10 years or 10 years itself. It's not fair for someone to be on the wait list for 10 years. And other options of increasing the plot numbers from 32 to 50 or 36 to 50 was to benefit the people. Because again, me myself, just like my management, they don't agree it's fair for someone to sit and wait for 10 years and not get a plot. So we're taking kind of possible kind of actions to benefit as many as possible.
So are the wait list, I mean, maybe notice the wait list people that the plots are available. I mean, wouldn't we do that anyway? I don't know, I'm just kind of asking a question.
I honestly don't know.
I wish you came prepared with the wait list so you give us an idea what we expecting.
I want to see this wait list. No,
I-
I'm just kidding.
I think, I mean, just personally, I think the priority should be those residents that are the closest to each of the parks. Obviously, with the Verdugo, you have a lot more single-family homes as opposed to like apartment complexes or not, but there's still some over there. I think if we just ideally set, I think the solution for Palmer and Maryland should be, or is a lot easier. Just open up the radius and see who comes in first and just give it to them. As far as Verdugo, maybe if we say that, 10% of the plot gets kind of saved in an inventory for those that are within a half a mile radius of the park, and then give a date of, like, let's just say February of 2023 or March of 2023. By that time, if nobody comes in to scoop up those within the half mile radius, then open that up to either the flow over from Palmer and Maryland or the waiting list. I think the purpose or the idea behind this is for people to access their plot, in a very short, quick walk type of way. So I don't think we're gonna have a lot of people that are at Palmer or Maryland willing to go all the way up to Verdugo Park anyway. Like you were saying, I think the 1/8 radius, it's mostly because people just want to walk there and do their thing and go home. So I think the solution for Verdugo isn't that complex. We should just take care of the other two and then, save, 10% of the available plots or 20% of Verdugo. Just kind of keep it in a bank for a couple of months. And if there's not enough interest, then go to your waiting list.
Commissioner Sardabagan, I think you hit the bullseye. I can tell you that close to 80% of people that are gardening inside Palmer Community Garden are people who are living right in those apartments that are like almost adjacent to the park. So 80% of those individuals, average, I'm thinking, are only those people that are super close they're living super close. I don't have someone who is driving for long distance to come to Palmer. So you're completely correct when you're saying only close by neighbors are going to be interested.
So could we,
Get a motion.
Pardon me for interrupting, President Meek, members of the commission. We do have Coco Panosian on the line, waiting, and if you want to take his call.
yes?
Yes,
or
please.
Wants to comment, okay. Mr. Panosian, you're now on air with the commission.
This is actually a first. I'm excited to be calling as a resident now to the main line. President Meek, members of the commission, thanks for taking my call. I've been listening to the discussion. I think we have, at least from my perspective, I think I understand where commission wishes to go with the plot assignments at all three of them. Maryland, given the grant requirements of keeping the plots available for nearby residents, I think the 1/8 mile, we attempted to keep it manageable, as Mr. Bolinikin said, and we garnered 170 addresses, of which we got 9. Now, we do have the QR link posted there, and our idea was if we keep the QR link posted there and the gardeners continue gardening, we will see more interest from the community about utilizing those 3 spaces. So I have a feeling if we keep that open for the next 3 months, we will likely get more individuals that show interest, and then we'll be within the community of Maryland Avenue Park, and we'll be able to use them to fill that plot. As far as Palmer goes, I'm comfortable with the recommendation, direction with commission. We do have a waiting list. As has been suggested, I think we should go to the waiting list and look at completing the Palmer Park by individuals who have signed up specifically that live nearby Palmer Park and are interested still. If they're still interested, we can appoint them to Palmer Park. And we'll be able to fill those 5 plots fairly easily from the waiting list that we have. I think the main purpose of us coming to you this time was specific to Verdugo mostly. And if you note, the report was mainly aimed at garnering your interest and your direction on Verdugo, only because we don't have any plans right now for Verdugo. We have ideas, but we wanted your input on how you'd like for us to proceed. Now, it seems there's 3 different approaches the commission is considering. One is at least securing some plots for individuals that live within Verdugo, and I think that's fair. There will be some individuals that live in apartment complexes within, let's say, a mile radius or so that might show some interest for plots. And I think it's fair to allow for that to happen. Because as living in apartments, that's the sole purpose of these community plots. You don't have your land to plant vegetables, and these garden plots will be ideal for that purpose. And also, the list that we get from Palmer, the one that we're currently going to use for Palmer, we can also look at those individuals and offer them Verdugo. There should be enough individuals that might give us enough to fill the rest of Verdugo. And if not, that's when we can do a similar recruitment for Verdugo, a much larger span of radius for the park to see if anybody else would, be able to plot their names in the mix. Those would be my ideas at the moment based on the conversation to help make it more efficient for us to move forward rather than have a multitude of approaches for each facility. With 3 plots at Maryland, I think we can fairly confident we can fill those. 5 plots at Palmer, I think we can comfortably fill those as well by the waiting list. And Armin's point, the reason why we had recommended the 5-year terms on these plots is to allow individuals on the waiting list at least an opportunity to be able to get a plot in 5 years. 5 years later, whoever has a plot will step down. We'll go to the waiting list, which we will keep open online. People continue to put their names on an interest list. We will gather up those individuals, and then if more than 50, we'll do a lottery, reappoint the 50 plots at Palmer, and the others as respective to their numbers. And based on those, complete the list on every 5 years, give individuals who've been waiting an opportunity. That's the purpose of coming to you today, and more specifically trying to figure out what is your direction as how we should proceed with Verdugo, since last time we came to you, we did not include Verdugo in the mix of the conversation.
Thank you.
I want to just say I sit corrected, and I notice it does say motion directing staff on establishing procedures to assign garden plots at the Verdugo Park Community Garden. It doesn't say anything about Maryland. So my motion now.
Do you want to withdraw this motion?
I withdraw my previous motion, and my motion is that we, reach out to people within a half mile of Verdugo Park first, also use the waiting list, and then open it up to the entire city if necessary to fill those plots. That's my motion.
Can I clarify your motion?
Yeah.
my God.
Sorry. It's just added clarification in detail, because I, for the most part, agree. But just adding that, based on Ms. Alexanian's comment, that we prioritize actually the people who are on the wait list who live within a half mile of Verdugo Park first, since they've been sitting on this wait list. And then we do the outreach to a half mile around the park, and prompt them to apply by a reasonable date. So that's second prioritization. And then third is just the regular wait list at large. And then fourth would be the whole city, any person who lives in Glendale if we can't fill it. Is that,
Fifth,
All right,
does that work?
let's make it more simple, please.
yeah.
So we
Okay, so there was a motion. If there's no second, then we can entertain a different motion. But if there is a second to the first motion, then I would need to take roll call on that.
So do we have two motions being proposed, or do we have, I don't know what's
Right,
going on.
right now,
We need to address the first motion first.
Okay.
So there
this
is a motion on the
comment
table.
on my motion.
Yeah, so if there is if there is a second, then I'll proceed with roll call. If there is no second to your motion,
Okay,
then we're back to square one and somebody else can propose a different motion.
okay.
go ahead.
I leave it in the hands of my capable colleagues.
Do you want to, Commissioner Wilson, do you want to repeat your motion so they, unless somebody wants to second what she already said? Repeat your motion just so there's a,
Repeat the motion.
Okay, I'm repeating my motion. I don't even remember what it was anymore, to tell you the truth. I was trying to keep it simple and move that we reach out to the people that are within a half a mile of Verdugo Park, because I think that will encompass a number of non-single family residences, and also the wait list for Verdugo Park, and then open it up to the citywide.
So that, if I understood that, that's, first we reach out to the local. After that, we go to the wait list, and after that, we go to citywide.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's what I think is reasonable. That's my motion. If nobody wants to second it, then we can.
I will
proceed.
volunteer to motion it for you. I mean, second it for you.
Any other discussion? May we have a roll call?
Certainly. Commissioners Alcazar,
I will vote no.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Sardarbegian,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
and President Meek.
I'll abstain.
Okay, so motion carries. Next.
Next on the agenda?
Next item on the agenda is 7, reports for information only. At A is Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report for September 2022.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
President Meek, members of the commission, the report is in your packets, information only. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
I'd like to apologize, but I'm going to be leaving, heading out. I have another meeting I need to get to by 4 o'clock, so.
Okay, the record will show that Commissioner Sardarbegian left the meeting at 3:37 PM.
Park Services Activity Report, is that correct?
The packet is in your,
Right.
there's information in your packet.
Not the community activities report?
No, the community activities, Mr. Garabedian will be up in just a moment, making his presentation.
No. Go on.
Thank you. Next is 7B, Recreation and Community Services Section Monthly Activity Report for October 2022.
Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the Commission, city staff. My name is Sabah Garabedian, Community Services Manager with the Recreation and Community Services section of our department, and I'll be going over our monthly activity report for the month of October. As we talked about earlier, President Meek called it out. He had attended the Fall Festival. So the annual Fall Festival took place on Saturday, October 22nd at Pacific Park and Community Center. There were over 800 people who participated in that event. The event featured the Gondola Rocks climbing wall. Numerous community and city department booths were in attendance, and over 300 pumpkins in our pumpkin patch. Some of our community booths that were present were utilizing our mobile recreation packages, carnival games to interact and attract people to their booths so that they could have a conversation with them. So the carnival game acted as the tool to attract these people, and then the kids who participated received a small prize, and then those who actually completed the objective of that carnival game got an opportunity to participate in the opportunity drawing raffle prizes, which were also donated by those various community groups, such as LA Galaxy and Nothing But Cakes. On Friday, October 21st, we had our One Glendale After School Youth Sports Program, ASYSP's Flag Football Championship Day, with the consolation game at 6:30 and the championship game at 7:30. Congratulations to the Marshall Tigers. They are 2022-2023 flag football champions. This program has been shut down since March of 2020, and this flag football is the first time we brought the program back in its full capacity post-COVID, or wherever we are in today's world in COVID. Last year we operated the program, but we didn't transport the kids from site to site to play their games. They just had recreational sports at their school site. And 2022-2023 is the first time we were able to have those schools come together and compete in the various games. Also present during that evening were Crescenta Valley High School Choir, who performed the national anthems, as well as the Hoover High School Drumline, who was filling in during stoppages in play. We had two Parents' Night Out events during the month of October. The first one was on October 21 at Spar Heights Community Center, and you could see pictures from our October 28 Parents' Night Out at Pacific Community Center. First one at Spar, second one at Pacific. Beetlejuice, 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 toilet paper mummy, a bunch of crafts, and there was about 26 participants at Pacific during this event. We had a tenant rights workshop in collaboration with the Armenian Bar Association for our seniors on October 25, 2022. Our senior programs also had its Halloween luncheon at the Adult Recreation Center and Spar Heights Community Center on October 27. And what I wanted to point out is those 300 pumpkins that were used during the Fall Festival and the pumpkin patch, most of those pumpkins were given out to the community. We did hold some pumpkins back and reposition them to our community centers and give them out to our seniors that attend our Congregate Meals program, as well as use them in our childcare programs during Parents' Night Out. On October 1, staff held its first GO program of the school year for ASYSP at Duke-Major Wilderness Park. The feature program was herpetology, where the Southwest Herpetology Society spoke to our GO participants about reptiles and amphibians. On October 7, 24 participants attended the Friday night lecture series. The evening's presentation was Adobes of Southern California. On October 8, we had Riverwalk Workday that had 4 volunteers. On October 15, Wilderness Workday was canceled due to inclement weather. And then on October 22, 35 people attended the Sunset Hike at Duke-Major Wilderness Park. During the month of October, the Storm Barn Nature Center was open for 14 days, and it had 1,162 visitors over the course of those days. The October Go program for open to the community theme was grossology with turkey vultures, where guests learned the importance of our local cleanup crews and how animals and birds help us out with that. Youth and Family Services during the month of October held its monthly meetings at Pacific Community Center. Teens were able to participate in Halloween-themed activities and play various board games. On Friday, October 7, Dale Gorman from Kids Community Dental Clinic came and did a presentation to our teens about dental hygiene. And on October 14, our teens carved some pumpkins. Our Youth and Family Services section also is responsible for the STAR program, a collaboration with Glendale Police Department. During the month of October, Sky Castillo came, professor of Egghead, and Sky presented Lego sets that focused on creating rides for amusement parks and then had the kids build various amusement park ideas with those Legos. Also in October, the Community Services and Parks Department, in partnership with Glendale Unified School District and Home and Glendale ARA chapter, launched its youth mentorship program that takes place at Toll Middle School and Wilson Middle School. We have numerous participants in the program that Glendale Unified School District identified as youth that need some additional mentorship as they're acclimating to their new country, new city, et cetera, et cetera. And this program is an opportunity for us to engage with those youth and kind of put them on the right path as they're going to school. Some of these kids are not going to class, they're being truant, they're not doing homework, et cetera. So they need the additional mentorship, and these three organizations are assisting them with that program. On October 29, MIP Day combined with Shane's Inspirations Play Day for MIP Day at Maple Park Community Center, featuring the Shane's Inspiration All-Inclusive Playground. This is an opportunity for kids to come out and play with each other, no matter what level of ability they have. And this was a large event. Over 150 kids showed up to this event that was designed to highlight the playground and provide services to the community. The Adult Recreation Center and our Elderly Nutrition Program staff that are based out of that center served over 4,751 meals during the month of October in the hybrid and congregate meal program, and 1,638 meals in the traditional home delivered meals program. And then moving on, upcoming events. Our holiday tree lighting ceremony and Crama Classic Toy Drive is around the corner. Crama Classic Toy Drive's first event will be this Friday, November 25th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at Montrose Shopping Park on the corner of Honolulu and Ocean View Boulevard. The second event for Crama Classic coincides with our holiday tree lighting ceremony taking place in about 10 days on Thursday, December 1st, out here in City Hall's Parcher Plaza. On Friday, December 2nd, teens will have a holiday karaoke night at Pacific Park Community Center featuring DJ Joni Miles. We have Birdwalk on the Riverwalk on Saturday, December 3, 2022. Scam and Fraud Awareness for Seniors, senior virtual presentation on Wednesday, December 7th. Teen Night Out at Pacific will resume on December 9 and 16. I do want to point out that it will go dark for the holidays starting December 23 all the way through January 6th on those Fridays. We have a community meeting regarding Shoal Canyon landfill and what's going to be done with that after the landfill closes. That community meeting will take place on Wednesday, December 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Glen Oaks Park at Joe Bridges Clubhouse, which is our community building at Glen Oaks Park. Our next Go program will take place on Saturday, December 10, 2022. We have Fiesta de Luminarias taking place on Saturday, December 10 as well, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Casa Adobe de San Rafael. MIP Day returns back to its traditional third Saturday of the month on December 17, 2022 from 11 to 1 at Maple Park. On Saturday, December 17, we have Holiday at the Storm Barn event from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We have a tea ceremony and martial arts day on December 18th at Brand Tea House and Garden from 10 to 3. And this is the last one, Parents' Day Out instead of night out on Sunday, December 18, 2022 from 10 to 4 at Pacific Community Center. And this one is what we like calling the drop-in shop event. Drop off the kids, go out shopping, come back. That way nobody knows who bought what for each other during the holidays. And that concludes my presentation, if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much. You're keeping busy. Does anyone have any comments?
I do. I think the pumpkins looked really, really great at the fall
Thank you.
festival. I just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you. That was a challenge. The pumpkins this year were definitely a challenge.
Any other comments? Okay. Next on the agenda?
Next is adjournment.
Do we need a motion for that? Nope. Then I declare the meeting adjourned at 3:52.
each other.